Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Deborah. My definition of love is radical acceptance. I say that radical acceptance is this: to hold someone or something in such high regard that you make the necessary sacrifice to stay connected to that someone or something. The emphasis I'm placing in this discussion today is necessary. Necessary, meaning it is required, it must be done to sustain the relationship. That means that everything is not necessary. Anything is not necessary. The assumption here also is that if you want to maintain the connection with this person or thing, that you know them or it. You know them or it. And if it's could be a dog or a horse or some idea, but you know it. And so because you know it, you get it. And when you get it, you know what you can do and what you should not do if you want to maintain the connection. Now, I said necessary and I said high regard. That means you really value this relationship and you want to see it at least stay just like it is. You don't want to lose it. It could be with a relative, it could be with somebody you grew up with, it could be with somebody you work with. The necessary sacrifice. Now, sacrifice is difficult for people because we're so busy thinking somebody is crossing our boundaries, and that means a lot. And I guess it does, but not in the context of a relationship that is one that you want to maintain. And many times I say it's mutual. You know, they feel the same way about you, but you can't. There's no way of measuring that. There's no way of measuring who's giving more and 50-50, no Teddy Pendergrass grass. It is not, we can't measure it. So that's where the high regard and the necessary sacrifice comes in, because you value it. Now, if it decides that it doesn't value you, then it or she or he decides to leave, then you let them go because they want to go. But assuming that they want to be in a relationship with you, then what you do is not, there are certain things you don't do. Now, and I'm saying, I put a pin right there to say, you know what those things are. That's why I said, you've been in it long enough, you know the person, you know what works, what doesn't work, you know what is a disaster and what is not. So if you're trying to hang on to the relationship and the person is worth it, and because nobody's perfect and everybody got something about them, everybody, I don't care how sweet you are, how kind you are, how loving you are, somebody have a problem with you. Somebody that loves you has a problem with you. So because of that, you are in the relationship with them and they're in a relationship with you, but everybody knows we know who we're dealing with. So if you know money is an issue, then don't borrow, don't ask, don't give, don't get, just don't let money be a part of what y'all do. If honesty is the issue, then don't tell them anything you don't want to hear again, because some people just can't hold water and some people don't try. If the person has a hard time self-reflecting and looking at themselves, well, don't make it your job to make them do it, because if that's not something they do well, they don't need you in it. And all of these are sacrifices on your part, because you might be the person who think it's your job because y'all friends or relatives or whatever to let the person know, who you think they are, or whatever. Give them credit enough for knowing. And if they don't know, give them credit enough to know that they're not interested in changing it. And there's nothing you can say that's going to make that difference. What it's going to do is interfere with the relationship that y'all have. If you know they can't take a joke, then don't do that. All of these are sacrifices that you make to stay connected to somebody that you really want to be in a relationship with. And so, hear me when I say love is to hold somebody in such high regard. And see, I know a lot of you got a problem with this because everybody wants to when she's your friend, or he's your friend, or he's your partner, or he works with you, or he's your leader, or blah, 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 somebody needs to tell him. Well, that might not be you. And then if they ever come to grips with it, they say, why you didn't say something? And you can say, because I didn't think our relationship could handle it. And that's honest and true. There is a way to love. And sometimes it is not doing something. And, again, it does not mean that you don't have a spine. It means that that is not important enough for you to sacrifice the relationship. And yes, there's a possibility that you might have to lose the relationship if you decide you want to do it. And if that's what you want to do, then do it. But then just ask yourself before you make these decisions, is it worth it? What's going to happen as a result of it? And is that what I really want? And if it's what you want, go for it. But if you know it's not what you want, and you know the relationship cannot sustain whatever that thing was that you just had to do or say, then don't do it. Now, love is gotta, people. I'm coming at it from a different direction, because I'm looking around and I'm seeing what we do, and I'm seeing how it's not working. And hear this, when I say hear this, hear this, hear this. When you love somebody like this, it is you sacrificing for the relationship. They may not reciprocate, they may not give it back. That is not even your concern. I've said that before, but only a person who can do this, can love like this, do it. These people who I've been talking about, I think Tyler Perry is a great example of this. Has every reason in the world not to say hello to that man who abused him all of his life. But that's not what he does. And it took him a while to get there. But that's not what he does, because he knew that it was better for him. If you talk about boundaries, you talk about self-love, it's better for you that you do the sacrificial thing, because that preserves you. But you can't do it unless you know it. You can't do it unless you feel it. You can't do this unless you understand what love, supreme love, is and what supreme love does. And if you want to learn how, I'm your girl. Wow. Next.